The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Another edition of The Big Issue. Happy Christmas or Merry Christmas and compliments of this season. I don't want to wish you Happy New Year yet because it's just few days away, so I'd rather wait until 2024 comes. Anyway, we are on to another fresh edition of your favorite program on television, The Big Issue. My name is Winifred, and of course, with the breaking news we got early this morning, we are talking about the aftermath of Akeredolu's death. Now we are saying what will happen in Ondo after Akeredolu's death. Reactions have continued to trail in following the death of Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. The ailing governor died today, Wednesday, December 27, at 67 years old. In this edition, we'll be looking at the lead-up to that power tussle between him and his deputy, Ayedatinwa, who now will be the substantive governor of the state until President Bola Tinubu's intervention. With me to discuss on this issue this Wednesday evening is in-house analyst Paul Wadima, and of course we are also expecting our guest public affairs analyst Jide Ojo. But before he comes on screen, we have Paul Wadima already logged in. Paul, good evening. You're welcome.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to always have you on the program. Thank you so much. Now, of course, you are abreast of what is happening in the country today. Talking about the time, I like call it the best time to go. We also had early hours today, the death of the passing on of the former Speaker of House of Representatives, Gali Namba Uma. And not quite long, we also had the death of the Ondo State Governor, Rotimi Akeredolu. Now, Paul, our question is on today's the big issue. What will happen in Ondo now after Akeredolu's death?
Thank you for having me once again.
You're welcome.
The issue of what will happen is already taken care of by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay.
That when a sitting governor or a sitting president dies, what is left is for the deputy governor or the vice president to be sworn in to take his place, so that there will be no vacuum left in the governance of a state or the country. So we have to thank our founding fathers and those who wrote the Constitution of 1999, who has made it a very smooth process in the handing over of power from a dead leader to the deputy leader. In this case, we're talking about the governor of a state, Ondo State. Of course, the people of Ondo and indeed the whole of the country are mourning Akeredolu. Akeredolu was a leader par excellence.
Yes.
He is one of those you call leaders of leaders. He has distinguished himself in several fronts. He is one of the few exemplary leaders that we have in Nigeria who have not been tainted so much by corruption, unlike other leaders. He had been the president of Nigerian Bar Association, which is the highest union, or so to say, of legal practitioners in Nigeria, and he acquitted himself very well. And he was one of the top pro-democracy activists that we have in this country. He has used his legal knowledge to fight for true federalism, to fight for the masses, to call for good governance, and he will be remembered for his doggedness in using his legal knowledge to ensure good governance, to ensure that the rights of Nigerians are protected. And I could remember the role he played when there was some foot dragging about handing over power to Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, when the then president of Nigeria, Umar Musa Yar'Adua, an ailing president, at a time when even the Attorney General and Minister of Justice at the time, Ondo Aka, was saying that the president of Nigeria, who was ailing, can operate from any part of the world, that he didn't have to hand over formally, that he didn't have to hand over formally to his vice president before embarking on a journey. Akeredolu was one of the voices that stood out in opposition of that kind of mentality that was displayed at that time by Ondo Aka, the Attorney General of the Federation at the time. And at that time, he was the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, and he was emphatic on the need to follow the Constitution. He was emphatic that the right thing ought to be done. While the clique at that time never wanted to hand over to Jonathan, he was one of the voices that rose up in demand that something should be done, that the right thing should be done, that the Constitution should be respected, and that Jonathan should be declared an acting president, and that he should be declared an acting president. He played a big role in that. It was a clear indication of the kind of man that Akeredolu was. He is somebody who will speak truth to power. At that time, at that point in time, he spoke truth to power, because already at that period, the cabal had already hijacked the presidency of Umar Musa Yar'Adua. They were ready to keep Nigerians away from what was happening at the presidential villa. And Jonathan himself, who was to be the beneficiary of whatever will happen in terms of power being handed over to him, was very taciturn about it. He wasn't saying much. Akeredolu was one of the voices from the NGO that was very loud and clear that the right thing should be done. So you can see Akeredolu as a man who speaks when it matters most. Don't forget that even this presidency that moved to the southern Nigeria, Akeredolu was a major player in ensuring that the presidency moved to the south. But don't forget that there was dilly-dallying by the clique, some clique in northern Nigeria, who, despite the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari, a northerner, was about to finish his tenure, they were still digging deep that they will produce another northerner to be the president of Nigeria after 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari. Akeredolu, as the leader, as the chairman of Southern Governors Forum, stood his ground and said that it will never happen. He was able to mobilize the Southern governors, who will forget their Sabbath declaration when Akeredolu made it clear that nothing will be accepted by Southern Nigerians except the fact that the presidency must return back to the South. It was a meeting that showed the unanimity of people of Southern Nigeria that after 8 years of Muhammad Buhari, a northerner, that the presidency on no account should remain in the South, should remain in the North. So he was instrumental in making sure that the presidency moved to the South. He was instrumental in making sure that the ruling party, the All Progressive Congress, that uh, some group were trying to hijack the presidency or the ticket to ensure that the next president after Buhari will also be a northerner. He stood his ground. He mobilized southern governors. Aside the Owerri declaration, there was the Lagos declaration. He was at the center of all this because he's a man who believed in fairness, justice, and equity. And that was displayed admirably by Akeredolu. And he was able to mobilize to make sure that the presidency does not stay in the north after Buhari. So that is to his credit. He's a man who likes to see that the right things are done. So I've just given you a few examples to show you the kind of leader and the kind of life he had lived just in a brief moment.
Thank you so much for that, Paul Wadima. Now we also have a guest joining in, Jide Ojo. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. Jide?
My pleasure. Good evening.
Thank you so much.
And compliments of the season.
Okay. You are just on audio or video?
Compliments of the season. I can see you very clearly and I can hear you very well.
Okay, same to you. It's a pleasure to have you join us today at this particular program. Now, of course, you've heard the breaking news. The Ondo State government lost the governor in the early hours of today, and that is Rotimi Akeredolu. Now, I'm wondering what will now happen in Ondo. Of course, the deputy governor is being sworn in. So what will happen in Ondo after Akeredolu's death? That is the topic for today's big issue.
First, let me condole with the good people of Ondo State on the demise of the governor. Today alone, we have lost two eminent Nigerians. Yeah. First, we lost a woman, Garla Abba, the Speaker of House of Representatives, between 1999 and 2003, who died at the age of 65, and Rotimi Akeredolu, better known as Aketi, who died at the age of 67. May God repose their soul and give their families the fortitude to bear the irreparable and irreplaceable loss. Having said that, on what next, as you have rightly pointed out, what next is that the deputy governor becomes the governor, and then the party, APC, will look for another deputy governor for the governor. So power has changed hands, and there will be no vacuum. Again, I congratulate Lucky Orimisan Ayedatiwa on reaping the fruit of diligence, patience, and doggedness. We should also congratulate Mr. President for weighing in the dark moments between September and early this month, when the incapacitation of Aketi led to some kind of vacuum, given the fact that the State House of Assembly, Ondo State House of Assembly, made an impeachment move against the then deputy governor. Yes. But good reasons eventually played. And now the deputy governor will not just be in acting capacity, he will be the new governor. And that's why there are media speculations that he will be sworn in later maybe some news media said he will be sworn in around 4 p.m. Yeah. Because it was a way to Ibokoda, his hometown, in the riverine area of the state for his Christmas vacation. Now, like I said, they will shop for a new deputy governor, just the same way it happened in 2010, when Goodluck Jonathan moved from being acting president to becoming president after the doctrine of necessity and the demise of Maru Musa Yar'Adua. And they now have to look for a new vice president, which is why I think Sambo from Kaduna State was made the new vice president to Goodluck Jonathan. So similar thing will play out in Ondo State. so that there will be no vacuum. However, a number of things needs to be flagged at this point. I hope politics will not distract Ayedatiwa, given the fact that INEC had already announced the date for the governorship election for next year. That is Ondo and Edo, and I think it's happening the same time. And there are rumors that Ayedatiwa is nursing gubernatorial ambition, which is well within his right to aspire. But now is a critical juncture where governance is needed. This 2023 had been very, very tense in Ondo State. The immediate past governor, Akeredolu, had not been in the best of health. He had to move between Nigeria and Germany, attending to his health. While he was away, the State Executive Council meeting never held. And when he came back and he had to stay in his house in Ibadan, there was still no State Executive Council meeting, to the point that there are allegations that the immediate past governor's signatures were being forged on some key documents, to take out some money from the state treasury. Now, Ayedatiwa will need to keep eye on governance rather than on politics. It's God that gives power. If he wants to spend the remainder of the Akeredolu years doing politics, he may miss it, and APC may also miss it, because
at this moment, what do you envisage will be the relationship between Ayedatiwa and the House of Assembly, given that the House of Assembly was making moves to impeach him just a few months ago? What do you envisage will be the relationship now?
Thank you, Winifred. You see, in politics, there is no permanent enmity or friends. It's interest that is permanent. Unlike the cabinet, the state executive cabinet that he could dissolve and reconstitute, he cannot dissolve Ondo State House of Assembly. Ondo State House of Assembly is an independent arm of government. So he needs to tread very carefully. And I will beseech, I will appeal to Ade that we are not to go on vengeance mission. Because there is that tendency for human beings to want to seek his own pound of flesh. To say, all of you that are against me some few months ago, I will show you Pepe, I will show you Shege. This is not the time to show anybody Pepe or Shege. This is the time to bring about good governance. I learned Ondo State workers have not been paid backlog of salaries. I learned there is absolutely no governance going on in this year 2023 in Ondo State. This is the time for you that you are to know that God has favored him and he should not play God. There is a popular saying, Winifred, that don't use what you get by grace to disgrace other people. He was not voted for. It was a joint ticket, yes, but he was not the one on the ballot. So God has favored him to make him the governor of Ondo State. He should be contented with that and work harmoniously with the three arms of government in Ondo State. He should not go on vengeance mission. He should not starve the Ondo State House of Assembly of their funds. Don't forget, there have been constitutional alteration that gives State House of Assembly and State Judiciary financial autonomy. And this should be respected. This is the time to even reach out to the members of Ondo State House of Assembly, both the leadership and the members, to make sure that there is cordiality and that the interest, one singular interest they need to pursue is that of Ondo State, how to make the people of Ondo State to feel good governance. That is what should be primary in the mind of Lucky Ayedatiwa. He's been lucky. This is a man that lost election. He didn't win his election to, is this Senate or House of Reps? And he got picked from the area of other eminent Ondo indigenous, while he was serving as a member of the NDDC board, to be the deputy governor. So he should not use what he got by grace to disgrace anybody. This is the time to reach out to all the warring factions, both within the cabinet and within the state assembly and even the judiciary, to work harmoniously with all of them and deliver on good governance. If he wants to contest election, when the time to sell nomination form comes, he can buy nomination form. If the people of Ondo State wants him to be their governor, the party will field him and then he can take it from there. But this is not the time to get enmeshed in partisan politics. What he needs now is to reach out to all the warring factions, reach a truce with them, and give each of them their due reward and deliver good governance.
Work be done, considering the fact that when the governor who just passed away left for treatment, so many things were undone. Governance was practically at a standstill, and of course, with the report, with what you said that the governor's signature were said alleged to be forged on some certain documents. So, do you think the governor will not have so much? Don't you think that the governor will be so much enmeshed in trying to unravel so many things now that the governor is no more, because he was not given a proper handing over?
Is that for me?
Yes.
Okay. So again, no time to check time. These few days to the end of the year, and this is where it gets very interesting, Winifred. This is where it gets interesting. Nobody has presented budget to the Ondo State House of Assembly. There is only 2 more days left in this year, 2023. Ondo State does not have 2024 budget. So it needs to galvanize action to quickly allow for the putting together of the 2024 budget, even if it cannot be presented because of force majeure, because of the death of the governor. It needs to work with the Ministry of Budget and Finance to quickly make sure that there is the validity of the 2023 budget. Let them do this money to run the state. So that's secondly, the issue of lobbying, who did what when was killed. That can be taken care of by independent agency that it needs to serve is security and welfare of the citizens of Ondo State. Security and welfare, that is very, very key. One of the memorable things that Aketi did for Ondo State was the establishment of Amotekun Corps. And you know, he was instrumental. He stood up to Malami, Abaka Malami SAN, to see to the establishment of Amotekun. So issues of security and welfare of the citizens of Ondo State should be paramount. If Lucky Aiyedatiwa can of Ondo State workers between the next 48 hours before the new year beckons, that would be great. Because after mourning Aketi, after mourning Rotimi Akeredolu, people will still be angry. They will be angry, they will be hungry. So God has favored Lucky Aiyedatiwa. He should just be up and doing, less politics, focus on governance, meet with different interest groups, pacify those he needs to pacify, reach truce with those who he needs to reach truce with, mend fences with the traditional rulers, the religious leaders, the political leaders, the State House of Assembly, and provide the needed leadership. The needed leadership. Ondo State has been like a ship without leadership in 2023. it has been like a rudderless ship. Now is the time for people of Ondo State to feel the presence of governance and government in that state. It's a sunshine state. That's the moniker for Ondo State. Sunshine state. Let the sun shine on Ondo State. After mourning Akeredolu, the people will need to feel the impact of APC government in Ondo State.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jide. Now, Paul, are you still there? Paul. Hello, Paul. Now,
It's
lastly, before
muted.
we go, okay. Lastly, before we
Paul
go,
is muted.
Okay, I want
Tell
to
him
find
to
out from
unmute.
you. I want to find out from you,
Yes, he
Jide,
has.
what now? I think the
Paul
governor
has
still has.
unmuted.
Yes.
Paul
I
has
can hear you
unmuted.
now.
Okay, you
Can
can
you
hear
hear
me
me?
now. Yes, I can hear
Yes.
you clearly. Now, Paul, I'm asking you for the what do you expect from the governor? At least he still has a full year. That is throughout 2024. I assume maybe the
Yeah.
election will take place in November. So, what are you expecting from the governor now, Lucky Ayedatiwa, to enforce on those states?
Yes, like Jido Ojo rightly pointed out, he has been presented an opportunity to show what he can perform. It's God that has given him this power. And 1 year, almost 1 year, he has to be governor. 1 year is enough for him to show what he can be able to do. If you remember, one of the most short-lived government we had in Nigeria was that of Murtala Mohammed. It wasn't long, but it accomplished a lot within a short period of time. So the little time that he has now, the new governor has to use it to impact the life of Ondo people. If he can be able to capitalize on this opportunity to address the teething issues facing Ondo State and forget about fighting his enemies, and he's able to accomplish much, I can tell you for free that the grateful Ondo people will be begging him to go and pick form to continue to be their governor going forward. So the most important thing is service. And I keep telling people, service is the most important of all action that any man could take or any leader could take. And that was why, remember, when God asked Solomon, what does he want? Solomon didn't ask for riches or the head of his enemies. He said he needed the ability to serve the people. Okay, because when you serve the people well, they will be eternally grateful to you, and then you can be able to achieve whatever goal you have going forward. So I believe strongly that if you look at the life of Solomon, the reason he achieved so much was because people were pleased with him because he put service over everything else. So I expect the new governor of Ondo State to put service over every other thing. If he can do that, the Ondo people will be so impressed that they would like him to continue to be their governor going forward. That's my position on this.
All right, thank you so much. Now, one last word before we go from Jide.
Well, my last word is I again commiserate with the family of Akeredolu, his wife Betty, who turned 70 early this year, some months ago, but couldn't celebrate because of the incapacitation and ill health of her husband. I pray that God will grant her the fortitude to bear the loss, but she should interfere less in governance in Ondo State. While the political crisis lasted, she was fingered. The first family was fingered as playing one role or the other in not recognizing or allowing Ayedatiwa to fully govern. Now the table has turned. The era of Akeredolu is gone. Let the first family now, Lucky Ayedatiwa's family, not go on vengeance mission. Let them focus on governance. Let the people of Ondo State, both opposition and ruling party, support him to succeed, because he, as an individual, If it does not have the cooperation of the state executive, if it does not have the cooperation of the state judiciary and the state legislature, things will be very difficult. It's not a sole administratorship. So all hands must be on the deck. The memories of people like Ganifa, the memories of all the human rights activists that have come out of Ondo State should be preserved, even that of Akeredolu, who lived a life of service and courage. Something should be done to also immortalize Akeredolu for his doggedness, for his legacy. It's nothing out of this world if it's recognized and a monument is named after him. But more importantly, I wish Lucky Aiyedatiwa were well as he pilots the affairs of Ondo State for the next few months.
All right, thank you so much. And with that, we've come to the end of today's The Big Issue. We're looking at Ondo after Akeredolu's death. And of course, I had the pleasure of having with me, of course, even though through Zoom, Jide Ojo is a public affairs analyst, a TV host, and a syndicated columnist. I also have an in-house Paul Wadima who joined their voices to today's Big Issue. My name is Winifred Udebo. Until we come your way again, same time next week. Here's wishing you a beautiful day. See you then. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast.